Hello and welcome to this channel. My name is Queen Yarnham, totally my real name by the way. So this channel has remained dormant for roughly a few months, the last content that I uploaded being a let's play of one of my favorite games of all time, Dark Souls 3. So long story short, I kinda lost steam for making content at all and just completely stopped and was planning on letting this channel rot and die away into nothingness and obscurity. However, instead, recently, I kind of got bit by the bug to come back and make content again that's centered around gaming. But not just gaming content, I'm also interested in making videos about other hobbies of mine, such as books. So expect to see some book-related content as well. But nevertheless, onto the point of this video in particular. I decided to start off this new era of content on this channel by making a video talking about my first ever video game, at least in memory. It's hard to know exactly what my first game was, considering this was like nearly 30 years ago, but I digress. So, won't you indulge me as I gush about my first ever gaming experience that I can remember? The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. My gateway drug into video games, which is kind of fucked up when you think about it, because what the hell were my parents doing giving me drugs? So, like I said, I'm mostly positive this was the first ever video game I played. I don't actually have the ability to prove this other than it's my earliest memory playing games, so I just run with it. And what, pray tell, did a young Queen Yarny do to save the Princess of Hyrule with no knowledge of what games were? Heroically and dashingly running into a tree. I hadn't grasped the concept of a plot yet. So, like I said before, as far as I know, Zelda 3 was the entry point into the world of fantastical, magical, mystical, whimsical stuff. And it's been downhill ever since. And now, no matter what I do, no matter where I go, anytime, the moment I see something fantasy related, whether it's posters, books, t-shirts, music, you name it, I'm immediately drawn in. And it's all thanks to this game. Incidentally, this 16-bit treasure born out of 1991 just so happens to also be my absolute favorite game of all time, nostalgia goggles included. I love everything about this game, except for the Mothula fight. Fuck that boss. But I'm an obsessor for this game. Everything about it. Yes, the music. Yes, the lovely and interesting characters and whatever the fuck it is they eat. Never understood what that was. Just green. They eat green. See, this game was a great opener for me into the world of video games for a good few reasons. I already did mention the fantasy element, which is a pretty big aspect. But there was one other thing that stood out to me from the start, even when I was a kid and could barely tie my shoes. My mind was drawn instantly to the level design. The beautiful art direction this game has, the vibrant colors laden throughout, the palace and dungeon design. Ever since then, my favorite part of playing video games is being able to explore and just take everything in, to the point where I will stand still for long swaths of time in a game, just to admire the art and level building alone. True story, I stood next to a sewer in Skyrim for close to 10 minutes, just watching the tiny waterfall animation asset. See, normal people rack up side quests, get immersed in the story, and download mods to turn the dragons into dildos and the plants into Twizzlers. Also, I feel like there's more mods for this game than there are people that work at Bethesda. But why ALTTP? Why have that be my favorite game of all time? I mean, sure, it was my first, and also what the video is about, but there are certainly other games that have done better what Zelda to the Past did. Well, a large reason for it remaining at the top of my list is because it was my first. But not just that, it was a solid first game. In my view, this game is a masterclass in exploration, which as I mentioned before is my favorite thing about video games, and will be mentioned a bunch in future content to the point of being obnoxious. Sorry. This game is chock full of places to explore. Once you graduate from the running into trees phase, there's something hidden in just about every screen, possibly more than one thing. It's a game that gets better the more you come back to it, trying new things you never thought to do before, discovering new secrets to keep the fire in your heart blazing for more. Considering there was no internet to look things up in the past, and calling into those pro gamer hotlines ran up your parents' credit card bill, there was really only one way to figure shit out. This game made me fall in love with not just exploring a fantasy world, but also the well-designed levels that make exploration the experience that it succeeds at. For some gamers out there, it's all about the challenging boss fights. For others, gathering resources and crafting to make really new, cool, and interesting items and weapons. For me though, the peak of my list since the beginning has always been, are you sick of hearing this word yet? Exploration. Literally, just give me a fantasy world with castles, fortresses, and tombs to explore, and I'm happy. And I truly think that A Link to the Past excels at this. The natural progression in exploration difficulty is also very well done. Take the beginning dungeon, which is technically Hyrule Castle and the sewer system. Very simple and straight to the point. You could honestly complete it in under 5 minutes if you're fast enough. There isn't really any puzzle work as much as you're just ripping your way through a labyrinth. It's very beginner friendly, and as every other YouTuber out there loves to say, it sets the tone, so that you know, this is what this game is about. Compare that to a later dungeon, such as Thieves' Town. Rooms, 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 baby! There's more noise in the form of various enemies, traps, directions in which to go. So much shit, so many things to break down. On a first time run through these dungeons, these places are pretty fucking complex. They will take you possibly hours to figure out. But I love that, especially nowadays. See, the funny thing is, I actually grew up with some strategy guides for the games that I played. My dad, who also played video games, and still does to this day, would always go online and look up cheat codes that we could implement into the games that we played to beef up the fun a little bit. The strategy guides that I did have when I was growing up, I treated more of like a book than a guide, however. And because of that, I would already know what happened in the game before playing the game. Which I didn't mind at the time. But all this time, I'd been taking away something from myself that I didn't even realize. I've seen plenty of people online over the years talk about how great they felt when they finally beat an area, or how they finally learned the strategy to beat a boss. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, yeah, I knew that, without considering that they weren't playing with a guide. They were just playing the fucking game. I started to feel very jealous of people who played these games without hints or guides to show them secrets and strategies. The excitement that they would express in figuring something out that I read in a guide. When I received my first ever laptop and started watching YouTube like crazy, I was watching Let's Plays of games I hadn't even gone through yet, always looking up who the last boss was from this game or that, where do I find all the collectibles, and whatever else I wanted to know. I had to know everything without having to actually play the game, or rather before I played the game. I remember the first time I actually had a moment of realization about this, to deviate from the main point of the video for a moment, was actually in regards to the Dark Souls games. I won't spoil anything, but the ending fight of 3 has a sort of spoof or nod to a prior Souls game. I just thought the fight was sick as hell, and after I beat it, keep in mind I had not beat the first 2 games yet, I decided to look up YouTube videos of other people playing through the fight. When I went to the comments section, there was one thing in particular some commenters mentioned about the fight. Reading this fact about the fight, I felt almost guilty in a way. Sounds stupid, I guess, but I realized I took away what could have been a profound gaming moment for myself. I felt sorta bummed about it, but while I didn't necessarily change my look shit up before you play the game mindset yet, this did plant a very crucial seed in my brain that would only continue to sprout more and more. Coming back to it these days, A Link to the Past is such a good game to get lost in when you have no idea about all the secrets, or what's around the corner. But do I look it up now? Absolutely not. I love the feeling of figuring things out by really trying to pay attention to the information the game intentionally gives me. It's a game that has a lot going for it, and has so much art and story and secrets to give you. The puzzles admittedly weren't exactly top of the line in this game. There weren't really any puzzles to speak of in the traditional sense. The puzzles were usually more, how do I get into this room with the clearly big chest that contains the cool dungeon item? Once you got the map and compass, of course. But still, racking your brain around how to get from one room to the next was absolutely part of the fun. So, is level design all I care about? Well, it's certainly my favorite thing in any video game that I play. But of course I do enjoy other aspects in a video game, such as collecting. I'm a big-time lover of collecting things in games, and A Link to the Past has a good few items to keep you interested. The heart pieces in every part of Hyrule and the Dark World, the magic bottles that are one of the best parts of the game, and if you want to get technical, all the items in your inventory to collect as well, which you're not obligated to complete. And even beyond that, you have this game's way of upgrading your weapons in the form of the Waterfall of Wishing and the Pond of Happiness. Just oodles of stuff and things. But I do suppose that begs a very important question. does this game hold up today? I mean, I'm glazing the living fuck out of it, but so what? Has it aged well? Could it come out today and be given a decent rating? Based on my own perspective entirely, yes. To explain why, even today, I'm constantly on the lookout for games that look similar and play off of what A Link to the Past had. The 16-bit sprite work in a bird's eye view action-adventure game. And in all honesty, while I've seen some really good games out there, they don't quite hit it out of the park for me quite like ALTTP. But also, most games, especially in the indie dev space that come out these days, usually tend to be homages to retro games of the SNES and Genesis era, used as a canvas for creative minds to get their own ideas out. Whereas when games like this were coming out, this was just where AAA gaming was at the time. There was nothing to go off of here as far as the graphics go. They weren't inspired off of games that came before and went for an homage or two. I'm not counting Easter eggs to other games. This graphical style and art direction was all conceived fresh at the time. There was nothing else like it. Of course, there were other Nintendo games with similar 16-bit sprite work, but again, it's because that was where the game development industry was as a whole. And considering how well they captured beautiful pixel design at the time, and nailed the dungeon crawler element, it's so good. And I still love coming back to this game even years later, each time a fresh experience. I love this game, it rules. And I love the fact that my introduction to video games and fantasy was 16-bit Hyrule, packaged in this amazing gift tied with the loveliest pixelated bow. To anyone stumbling upon this video, I'd love to know where your journey began with video games. But that's my love letter to my first and favorite video game. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings and what I had to say. Take care for now, and I'll see you in the next video.